Last night, I slept outside, alone, in a tent set up in the woods behind our home. Just me, the trees, the night sounds, and a few layers of fabric between me and the stars. And to be honest, it was exactly what I needed. I wasn't racing toward tomorrow's to-do list. Instead, I found myself reflecting on 4 simple practices I share at the end of this video that keep my heart steady when life may get overwhelming at times, which I hope will help you as well, especially if you're someone who ever struggles with too much to do or just not knowing where even to start when it comes to organizing your thoughts. So, this is what happened to give you some context. I set up the tent earlier in the afternoon on my own, well, maybe with a wee bit of help from my husband. And at first, I wondered if I could do this by myself. Usually, he sets up the tent for us, but I wanted to challenge myself, do it on my own, and learn something new. I've changed a whole lot since I was younger. Camping and exploring the outdoors weren't things I did much of growing up in the city, but now they have become so much more a part of me and my lifestyle these days. As I pulled out all the pieces of the tent, the poles, ropes, pegs, I got that familiar wave of, where do I even start? Similar to how life can get when we have so many tasks to do. The kind of feeling that makes your thoughts scatter in 100 different directions before you've even begun. Have you ever felt like that? Like even something simple becomes a mountain when your mind is carrying far too much? I've talked to some women who have expressed the same feeling of overwhelm when everything feels like it's piling up. Family commitments, the never-ending list of chores, community events, and the guilt of not responding fast enough or being fully available to everyone. I'll admit that I felt that way again last week, and even finding a quiet hour to read a book sometimes felt impossible because I was too busy in my head thinking about what to do next on my to-do list instead of staying present and in the moment. But I'm so thankful for the lessons I continue to learn and practice daily in terms of keeping things simpler and slowing my life down, especially my thoughts. As I looked at those pieces of the tent, I stopped, took a breath, and viewed the assembly of it as more of a metaphor of slowing down my life. I decided to start with one piece at a time. I anchored the first corner and then the next. Bit by bit, it came together. And by the time the sun dipped behind the trees and the light shifted to that soft evening hue, I crawled into the tent with a cup of tea and a book. It was quiet, except for the rustling of leaves. But more than that, it was still, and it gave me the space to think. Not the kind of frantic thinking that keeps you up at night, but a gentler kind, the kind that helps you remember yourself. And I want to share 4 practices I reflected on as I sat there, listening to the forest breathe. The first thing was this: you don't have to do everything all at once. When life feels tangled, I've learned to ask myself, what's one piece I can work on right now, Chevy? One corner of the tent, one thing off the list, and the rest? Well, it can wait. When speaking with other women who share with me how overwhelmed they can feel sometimes, I often provide the same suggestion to them and try to practice this myself. although I'm certainly not perfect at it. We're all works in progress, and it's beautiful. What's your one piece today? The second reflection: it's okay to say no and be okay. I'm learning to let go of the pressure to be everything to everyone, to step back from the things that aren't truly necessary, even if that means disappointing someone. It's not easy, but it's freeing. For me, it's not just about saying no. It's about being okay and guilt-free in saying no. Not needing to justify myself, just being respectfully honest about my limitations and accepting myself for who I am. Third, I thought about the importance of making time for what nourishes me. Reading is that thing for me. A simple story, a quiet page. It brings me home to myself. And I've realized it's not indulgent. It's necessary for the restoration of my mind and soul. And finally, this phrase came to mind like a soft mantra in the dark. I can be uncomfortable and okay at the same time. I've been repeating that phrase a lot lately, and it's like a release. That it's okay to feel unsettled, to not have all the loose ends tied up. And still, I can be okay. For me, this is a key aspect of what it means to live more mindfully and intentionally. Mindfulness certainly includes things like gratitude and happiness, but what about the times when we're not feeling as calm and settled? Well, instead of fighting against that, which at least for me only makes it worse, I can accept that experience and be present in that moment too. Sit with the feeling and know that discomfort and being okay can coexist at the same time. Oddly, this makes me feel even more comfortable. Tracing my fingers along the tense stitched seams, I felt cozy in the stillness and so very grateful. Not because anything major had changed, but because I gave myself permission to just be. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, like your own life is a pile of scattered tent pieces, I see you. And I hope this story gently reminds you that you don't need to do it all. Just start with one corner. Then rest if you have to. Let me know in the comments, what part of this resonated with you most today? And what's one small shift you're ready to make toward a simpler, calmer life? Your comment might just help someone else feel less alone. Until next time.